Hi, this is Emily Leiphart of Art from the Heart, and I'm thrilled to be returning as a guest designer for Gerda Steiner Designs. Today I'll be featuring a newly released stamp set called Go Wild. That little safari guy and his Jeep are so awesome, and I really love that the matching die for the Jeep cuts out the windshield so that you can put the people or animals in front of or behind the roll bar. I can see myself mixing and matching this set with so many of the other animal sets from Gerda Steiner Designs. For today's birthday card, I'll be using the Jeep, Park Ranger, and Zebra. I'll cut multiples of the zebra to make it a party and pile them all in the Jeep. I'll be heat embossing the images on watercolor cardstock, so I lay them out, use the embossing bag to eliminate excess powder from sticking where there's no ink. Then I ink up the stamps with VersaFine Onyx Black Pigment ink and stamp them all at the same time. Now I'm ready to apply clear embossing powder and set it with my heat tool. I pick out colors for these characters as well as the background I'll create later and start watercoloring. I use the earthy tones on the bottom row for the giraffes and the dirt road. I'll use tattered rose for the archeologist's skin and the 3 greens for his outfit, the Jeep, and the grassy plains. The blues are for the sky and the top 3 colors will be for the sunset. I did bring out a couple of grays later for the more neutral areas. I start by adding water to the images, which helps the color move around on its own. Then I add color and the water does a lot of the work for me. If I want a deeper color, I use less water or take water away from the image. If I want a paler color, I use more water. After the panel has completely dried, I'm ready for die cutting. I cut apart the images and hold all the dies in place with removable tape and run them through my Big Shot. I can't wait to group these guys together. I had a lot of fun moving the individual pieces around to see which version I liked better. The Park Ranger would have looked great in the car or standing in front of it. It's almost as if he's not even aware that there are 3 giraffes in his car. I just love the stunned looks on their faces. When I have the ensemble the way I want it, I bring in the background panel and decide where I want the sentiment. I like it better up above since the length of the sentiment is smaller than the base of the Jeep. Now I'm going to draw in a background with my design ruler and a pencil. I'm going to draw a horizontal line for the horizon, and then I'm going to use the lines on my grid mat to create angled lines separating the dirt road from the grassy plains. Then I'm going to use an arched die to create a sun. You can also use any circle or oval dies for this. I would say you can use a coaster or bowl as well, except you'll need to die cut this exact shape to create a mask, and it might be harder with a household object, but it's not impossible. Definitely use what works for you. I want to stamp the sentiment before sponging the background since the ink and embossing powder will stick better to uninked cardstock. Now I'll bring in the masking paper to sponge my background. I want to sponge the sky first, so I cover up the sun and the entire ground. I start with tumbled glass and sponge all of that exposed space. Then I use broken china to add depth to the bottom edges of the horizon and around the sun. I move the masking paper strips around so I can sponge the grassy plains on either side of the road. I use peeled paint first and add forest moss on the edges of the card for depth. It's so satisfying to remove those masks and see the background coming to life. Next, I'm using antique linen for the dirt road. I'll use this color at the bottom edge of the card and then add the 2 darker browns closer to the horizon. I add brushed corduroy first and then walnut stain. Here's what it looks like after all the masks have been removed. I kind of like the white space, but let's put the images in front of it to see how it looks. It would definitely look okay just like this, but I think some warmer colors and also a pop of brighter colors would be nice. I'm going to apply the negative part of the mask to expose the space where the sun needs to be sponged in. First, I erase the little pencil marks that are annoying me. I start with wild honey all over that positive space. I stop to use the other pieces of masking paper to protect the rest of the card because my hand might slip, and I'll get color where I don't want it. It's better to be on the safe side. Next is ripe persimmon, and I was using a brand new sponge here. I should have taken the time to work it into the sponge more, but I was trying to work as fast as possible. I was a little disappointed but not too worried about the streaks since most of it would be covered up. Finally, I used Festive Berries with a very light touch and it helped blend the other two colors into each other. Now I'm using the tube of my Ranger Mister to flick water droplets onto the card. This will react with the distress inks and wick away color where the water settles. I also use a shimmer mist just on the sun. After the panel has completely dried, you can see the effect of the water droplets and shimmer. Now I can adhere it to the card base. I'm using score tape on a craft card base and I'm going to apply my usual 6 strips to keep this panel from bubbling up in the middle or at the edges. I use score tape at the bottom edge of the windshield to make it easy to place everyone in the Jeep. Once I like their positions, I can press down and secure them in place. Then I can add foam tape to the back of the ensemble and secure it to the background. I just make sure that I have the same amount of space from the bottom edge of the tires to the bottom edge of the card as I do from the top of the sentiment to the top edge of the card for symmetry. I press down to secure all of the pieces and now my card is done. Please refer to the supply links below if you're interested in any of the products I used in this video. You can also visit my blog for stills and more information about my cards. Thanks so much for watching!